Okay, it is 6 o'clock, so we will get started. Thank you so much for everybody coming out. This is super exciting. Mrs. Henderson, we start with the roll call, please.
Mrs. Horn,
Here.
Mr. Chitwood, Mrs. Baker,
Here.
Mrs. Coleman Martinet, here, Mr. Hull,
Here.
Mr. Beecham,
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And next, the approval of the agenda.
Madam President, I do think we may have a couple of items that we need, may need the agenda amended for.
Thank you.
Madam President, I motion to amend the agenda by removing items 8.05 and 8.06.
Great, thank you. There's a motion to amend the agenda by removing items 8.05 and 8.06.
I'll second.
Thank you so much. We have a motion and a second. Any other conversations, questions? Mrs. Henderson, will you collect the vote?
Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Coleman Martinet,
Yes.
Mr. Hull,
Yes.
Mr. Beecham,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Horn,
Yes.
approved.
Thank you. The motion to approve the agenda as amended. And next.
Madam President, I motion to approve.
Thank you. So the motion to approve, any seconds?
Yeah, I'll second.
Thank you so much. We have a motion and a second. Any other conversations, questions? Great. Mrs. Henderson, will you take the vote?
Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Coleman Martinet,
Yes.
Mr. Hull,
Yes.
Mr. Beecham,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Horn,
Yes.
approved.
Great. Thank you so much. I believe we have members of Spring Hill Middle School to come up and do the Pledge of Allegiance with us. If everybody would stand, and please remove your hats if you're wearing one, and we'll have our guests.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much.
Madam President, can I just quickly point out that this group from Spring Hill Middle School is actually our brand new Builders Club from the Kiwanis that we're just getting started. And so I want to thank the administration. I want to thank Mr. Hitchens. Did I get that right? Yes, I thought I did. I was going to call you Alec, but I know we don't do that in education. So I just wanted to point that out.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Would you guys mind stating your name and what grade you're in for us before we let you guys go?
My name is Victoria Rangel and I'm in 8th grade.
My name's Kendall Thompson and I'm in 8th grade.
My name is Olivia Randall and I'm in 6th grade.
My name is Corbin Robbins and I'm in 6th grade.
My name is Callie Hahn and I'm in 6th grade.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much for coming out and helping us out. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. When you guys are good, you want a picture?
Oh.
Let's do this. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I can do the
Mission, yeah.
To be a school district that engages students to learn, create, adapt, and succeed in an ever-changing world. Vision statement: maintain small town values and empower each student to achieve world-class success.
You guys say that a million times better than I do. So that was amazing. Thank you. Okay, public participation.
No cards were presented.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Alex.
Up next, the consent agenda. I'll go through the list. It's going to take me a hot second. We have approval of the consent agenda items, approval of the minutes, the clerk's report, the treasurer's report, personnel, approve license contracts for the 27 year, payroll and claims, the Spring Hill High School forensics trip to Washington, D.C., the milk bid, before and after school YMCA, renewal of Haptitudes, renewal of Gizmos, renewal of Zello, renewal of, this is a good one, Ingenuity, renewal of Ed Puzzle, BIS contracts for 26-27, the board policy revisions, bond 2025 projects, the March bond pay applications, the elementary edition for March, purchase copy paper, and the iPad purchase for the 26-27 school year. I'm done. That's all. Yeah, that's it.
Madam President, I motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Great. We have a motion and a second. Any other conversation or questions before we take the vote? Okay, Ms. Henderson.
Mrs. Coleman Martinet,
Yes.
Mr. Hull,
Yes.
Mr. Beecham,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Horn,
Yes.
Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
approved.
Thank you so much. Moving on to good news recognition and announcements. Mr. Peavy.
Yes, good evening, everybody. We're excited to have two different recognitions tonight, core value, and then we have a group of students from Spring Hill High School. They're going to be sharing with you some exciting things that they've been doing. But first, I would like to invite Spring Hill Middle School Principal Mark Meek up to present our core value award.
You want me to say it, Ms. Civic, come on down? So it's with my pleasure that I get to recognize Ms. Civic. I could go on, we could talk for hours. She does a great job, but I made something right, or I put it in writing so I wouldn't be here talking all night. So with that being said, Ms. Civic truly is a champion of education. She works tirelessly to help the people around her better their educational journey. As an instructional coach, she is one of the staff, or one that staff turn to for guidance and support in the classroom. She's proactive, always thinks ahead, and makes everyone around her better. She is a key foundation to the success of our students and staff at Spring Hill Middle School. We are so lucky to have her, or to have Ms. Civic at Spring Hill Middle School and at USD230. We appreciate everything she does for our students and our community. We really appreciate Ms. Civic.
So like always, we'll get pictures here in a second, but next up, I would like to invite Mrs. Leah Good to briefly introduce our real world learning student ambassadors.
Thank you. So in conjunction with our Kauffman grant, we're in year 3 of our grant cycle. We have student voice leaders this year. And so what that entails is we have 2 student ambassadors who are facilitating engagement in real world learning within the high school. And then we have 1 storyteller who kind of captures and shares those moments out. And so today they wanted to come to you guys and talk about what they accomplished this year through their experience in the Student Voice program.
Hello, I'm Macy.
I'm Danny,
I'm Elsie.
and we're your student voice leaders. I'm just going to kind of skip over these 2 slides because it's just kind of filler information. But me and Elsie personally served as student voice ambassadors. So as Ms. Good said, we've been kind of working with our student body, hosting tables and the such to kind of have that face-to-face engagement. So our student body is aware of the things that they can do at our high school. And in this presentation, we're going to kind of show you what we've been doing, some of the data we collected, and then as well, like kind of some of our insights that we think we could do, we could implement moving forward.
Okay, so these are some of the activities that we've done throughout the year. So we started off with an Instagram reel about the student experiences with MVAs, and it reached about 5,000 people in our district. And then our activity after that was a presentation at lunch. We hosted a table and kind of got that face-to-face interaction with about 60 of our students. And then our next activity was a Stampede News article. It was just published, but it's expected to reach around 60 to 100 students in our community. And then lastly, the Board of Education presentation. And yeah.
That's what we're here for today.
Yes. So at our second activity for the lunch table, we had a wheel you can spin for prizes, but in order to spin that, you had to answer some questions. And one of those is how MVAs, AP classes, things like that have prepared you for outside of high school. So one student said, you want to be prepared for what comes after high school, whether that is college, trade school, or going straight into a job. Real world learning can help you so much with that. And someone else said, getting involved gives you an opportunity to find your passion and replace future stress with excitement. And then I am our student storyteller. So I do like Q&As and student spotlights, and that's just an example of one of them.
Feel free to scan if you're curious. We can go back if you need some time.
Okay, so these are the results that we got from the surveys that we put out. So as you can see, a lot of our market value assets are through college credit. And then 19 out of 24 students don't know what an MVA is. So this kind of tells us that we should probably advocate more of like what MVAs are and just educating them are like, these are the opportunities that we have, and maybe implement more internships and other client connected projects to give them more of a broad variety of things to do besides just college credit.
And sorry, let's go over here. Oh wait, this. Okay. Through this, we kind of have some recommendations. Obviously, not necessarily all in your hands. This is obviously in our administration too, and we can help assist the implementation of these. But to start, we definitely think that Zello needs to be emphasized more. It's pretty much how our students have access to things that aren't internships, because otherwise, if you want to do something like a client connected project, you have to sign up through Zello, and it's kind of in a hidden tab, and most kids don't know how to use it. And I think all of us can say from personal experience that as soon as our advisor teacher is like, now we got to do Zello, everyone groans because they don't know actually why we're doing it and why it's important and how it can help them succeed in whatever post-secondary education, career, et cetera, that they're doing. So that's definitely important that we need to emphasize that. We also need to, in my opinion, and through our insights, allow some flexibility through our CTE programs. They're pretty rigid in how you progress through them. So you have this class, and then after you finish taking that class, whether it could be a year, a semester, you move on to the next one, and then you slowly move up throughout your high school experience. And that can be nice for kids that need that break, that pause, but also we all think that students would get some improvement by being able to have 2 feet in different CTE pathways, because then it leads to a more well-rounded education and they actually get some more experience in different careers before they go into their post-secondary education. That's more obviously for the college side, but I think all students could benefit from that. And then also advisory, as I mentioned before, is definitely something that kids groan at when they have to actually do something in it, because it's just 20 minutes. Kids feel like they don't actually have any time to get anything meaningful done. So we think that tailoring advisory to educating students about these things that our school is offering and the different ways they can get involved in our school and help uplift their student body is the main way that they can succeed.
Thank you guys for listening.
Are there any questions? Because we kind of went a little rapid fire.
Yeah. What grade are you all in?
We're all seniors.
All seniors. Okay. So then what is your next step?
So we are actually kind of stepping out of the role that we currently are, obviously with graduation. But one of our biggest things at our last meeting was finding new people to take on and follow our footsteps. So, and it's especially been hard because we obviously have our peers that we think would be really good for it, but they have no idea what it is because, it's just been us 3 this entire year. And last year there wasn't anyone in our role. So it's just been kind of progressing, passing down our knowledge.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm going to kind of pile on to that too. Number one, you guys are great speakers. And I think a thing that lends itself to being great speakers is when you're passionate about the subject that you're talking about. And it clearly comes through in everything that you guys have just talked about. I'm too interested in, kind of where is the stewardship for this to continue on. And then Mrs. Good she knows where I stand on CTE as a marketer. I'm really big on what are we doing, right, to further communicate and get our student body aware, interested, and motivated about our different programs that we have. And so how do we get 6 of you, let's say, to replace you next year, right? And And in that vein, you know, what do you guys see that could improve from a support function in making that happen? Getting students more aware of the programs that we offer. And then I'm sorry, I'm rambling here, but there's also a piece here that has to do with, you know, supply and demand, right? You don't want to be too successful, right? Because we only have so many seats in certain pathways, right? And so that's a concern of mine as well. And then the third piece I want to add to this too is are you ambassadors then that take this message down to the middle schools and talk to the 7th and 8th graders about what they can expect when they get to the high school?
So that definitely was throughout the year, we've had workshops. And so basically that's just every single team from all the schools around the area that participate, share their ideas, where we're going. And also then the leaders, which she's not here today, but our very own Norm McBain, she's also a senior. She comes along with us. She leads those workshops and kind of directs us in what our projects should be next and what are the next steps. A couple of months ago, we went to our national conference in Kansas City. So that's definitely, sorry, what was the question again? I branded and I forgot it.
Taking it down to the middle schools and kind of promoting it to the 7th and 8th graders.
Yeah, so that's definitely like an option that many of the other schools have done. We kind of decided to stay within the high school just because we don't know our outreach yet. So we were kind of gauging, and that's definitely something that I think
that's fair.
Have our next group do. And
yeah, that's fair. So give me probably your single greatest priority as far as, you know, where you see needing the most help or support.
Personally, I'm pretty passionate about this, but I think getting our students involved in client connected projects is probably the best thing because we don't have a whole lot of knowledge of what those are and how students can work with real businesses and get real outcomes. And it's not that time consuming for most students. It takes maybe one day out of their schedule a month, if that. So I think that's the logical next step. And it gives educators a big step or a big way to use outside of the classroom learning as a tool to their kid. And they don't have to always be in front of a lecture podium.
And I will say the students gave me a list of, I think, 10 or 12 students that they think would be a good fit. Kaufman typically only allows a high school to have 2 ambassadors and 1 storyteller each year, just because they have so many students. So I think we're going to look at that list, reach out to them. And if we have more, we may just have an internal team of student voice leaders who hopefully we can start to get some younger grades in there. This was our first year having a group of 3. Nora McMains took this on individually last year, and she was a storyteller. So she was invited back this year to be a student leader. And so her role looks a little different. So we're hoping with this, we can kind of continue that student voice because they're the champions. When they said they had to go do something for me, the kids were like, wait, what? And so they know them. And so letting them speak, I think, just does so much more for our students.
No doubt. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you guys so much for coming out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, right here, we can go ahead and transition and do some pictures and let you guys go through. It's good. You get
Oh,
to be in
I
the
get to
picture
be in the
too.
picture.
That's right. That's what I was You guys want to scoot that way just a little bit. Try to set up there. And I'll get aggravated real quick. 1, 2, 3. Get out of there for Emily. Awesome. Thank you. You guys did a great job. Thanks for being here. You guys want to hang out here. 7 is for me. We'll be in a picture too.
Can I invite Mr. Bergdahl also?
It's fun. I think he said he was only gonna come if you got to be in the picture.
I'm sorry, I said.
Center.
It's kind of diva-like behavior, but you know, whatever, it's fine.
Great shirt, so we'll let it go.
Oh, fine. Totally fine.
So we said, Scott? Yeah, good.
That's good enough.
Ladies first.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, go into discussion items. 8.01, report from Spring Hill High School trip to Springfield.
Yes, we had our color guard to compete at a competition, one of the first ventures outside the district, and they did extremely well. And so they're going to tell us a little bit about that experience and what might be some of their future plans. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Carrie Brotherton, and I am the head coach for the color guard at the high school. I'm here with most of the guard. There's a few that had to work tonight, but and then our assistant coach, Megan Weaver, as well. We've had a very exciting year, a very fun year, and I just wanted to kind of go over our year at a glance real quick, kind of our big things. Starting with the fall season, we had 10 members on our guard that started practicing way back in June. And in July, we hit band camp running. We learned all four of our shows, or all four of our songs. We had new equipment. We were learning a lot. And we were able to go to the KBA Marching Festival with the band. And as you know, the band placed second at that state marching festival. Within that marching festival with the scores, there was a caption just for color guard. And it doesn't have anything to do with the band or anything. It's all color guard. Previous years, we had been 23rd, 24th. This last year, we were 4th place. So we started with that, and that was a very fun time, but a lot of hard work. We finished mid-October with the marching season, did a few fun things with the band during playoff games, but we hit the ground running in mid to late November with Winter Guard. We had tryouts at that point. We had 14 now. So we lost one senior to graduation at semester, but we gained 5 more. 4 of those had never picked up a flag before November. So they were learning from the very beginning. And we were throwing it at them pretty darn quick because that first performance was mid-January of our show, and we put together a 4-minute show with pretty advanced skills. We brought our show, let's see, go next. We brought our show to the Mid-Continent Color Guard Association, which is the circuit for this area. It covers 6 different states, and there's probably about 250 or so guards within that circuit, somewhere around there. There was only 3 guards from Kansas, however. Us, Gardner, and Blue Valley were the only groups that have a true competitive winter guard. We went to our first couple of shows in mid-February. We scored first place at both Belton High School and Blue Springs South High School. You see our scores there. It probably doesn't mean anything to you, but they are actually very good scores for coming out, very early in the season. We then were able to travel to Washington, D.C. with the band in the spring. And we were able to compete at the Atlantic Indoor Association Circuit competition, which was in Midlothian, Virginia. So about 2 hours from DC. We brought the entire guard came. We bussed on over to Virginia. We actually competed 1 class up just to allow for time management to get there, not so early. But we still managed to get first place at that competition as well. So, and we heard a lot of good things. I got a lot of good comments, Facebook posts and things like that from people around there that were just so amazed at how good their show was and how such a great job that they did out there. We came back the very next week after being on the bus for, I don't even know how long, it seems like forever. We came back, we got back on Tuesday. We competed again on Saturday at Oak Park. We got second place at Oak Park here in our local circuit. And then the big thing was our for the first time ever, we have gone to MCCGA Circuit Championships. So these take place in Springfield. They are just the culmination of the circuit championships. Many of the guards, well, I guess not many, a few of the guards will actually went on to compete at World Championships, which was this past weekend. So they were able to see a lot of guard, and it was a full day of color guard for them. We competed in the Scholastic Novice class, our first time ever going to championships, and we were the bronze medalist with a score of 80.98. That is a very high score for the class that we are in. And there was a tie for first place, and we were less than half of a point from that tie. So it was we were very, very proud of them. Looking at the score breakdown, they outright won both the equipment and the movement categories, which was how well they move, what the work they're doing and how well they're doing it. They won those two categories. So we were extremely, extremely proud of them. I hope they're as proud of themselves as we are. But we're very, very excited about that. We will be going up to the Regional A class next year, kind of forcing us to go up there, but we're ready. So we're very excited about things that are coming up. We're currently in our recruitment phase, trying to get the middle schoolers to try out next week. And then we're just excited for fall season to start and keep doing color guard. Any questions or anything?
Yeah, I'm going to take this opportunity right now because, I'm sitting in the stands during the football season, right? And it was really noticeable this past fall. You mentioned new equipment, new costumes, and just the level of the performance was completely elevated. It was really noticeable year over year to me, number one. So I want to say thank you for your showmanship during those halftime shows. I saw a trend kind of develop here too. As the season progresses, it looks to me like everybody's game gets kind of elevated and the scores to win are higher and higher and higher. Is that kind of just generally the way it goes?
Yeah. So generally you kind of put your show out there at the first competition, and there's some schools where the show's not even completely done yet. They haven't learned all of it, so they just kind of stop it halfway through. They had learned all of theirs, but you get a lot of judges critique and say, you could maybe try this better, maybe this will be a little bit better. So once we start competing, we are still continuing to grow the entire time. We're changing things. I mean, I always promise them I'm not going to change anything tomorrow, and I always lie to them, and I always change something, including the day before we left for championships. So it's like just a real quick change. So yeah, you're constantly changing things based on what the judges tell you, and things that you can improve on. So.
Was this year or last season the one with the dress change where the dress?
That was last year.
That was
last year's fall. Yeah.
So that was the first moment that it was like, okay, we're up in our game here a bit, and you really continued to hit it out of the park. I think, Spring Hill has always had the talent, but you're proof of what happens when a coach is really living out their passion, and we're seeing it in their success. So thank you for what you're bringing to this program and to this sport, because we're watching it grow fast, and it's been incredible to watch.
It is our pleasure. Megan and I marched way back when, way too many years ago that I don't want to say, but we marched in the same group. And so we've kind of known each other for a while, and we both have a great passion for color guard. It was kind of my outlet through college. Even when my kids were young, I was coaching over in DeSoto. So I've been at it for a long time, and we both love it. And that's why we're here. That's why we do it, because we just love it. And we hope that we can put some of that passion into the girls. I do know our two seniors that are here today. They're both going to continue on and do color guard at Pitt State University. So we're very excited about that too.
There you go. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. Anything else? Any questions? Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for coming out. Good luck next
Thank you so
season.
much.
Up next, Spring Hill High School Athletic Program additions, Mr. Freon.
All right, good evening. And I would echo what April said as far as just having having kids that are there and excited and passionate, and coaches, sponsors, and what a great lead up to adding other programs. So thank you for that. So yeah, it's a good opportunity to see how we can spread that. But yeah, our color guard does a great job, and then combined with our band is just awesome to be able to see that combination happen. So with that, last year at this time, we added unified bowling, and I was here talking to the board, and then I also led that with, we're going to probably be looking at adding boys and girls bowling for the fall, for the winter of 26-27 school year. And so here we are, and we're excited to be able to talk about how, based off of questionnaires, that we do have student interest. We didn't get a whole lot of questionnaires back from over 300 responses. So we're looking at, we have what, 1120 right now at school. We didn't obviously survey the seniors, but we did survey the 8th graders coming in. But we still have quite a few, just a little bit about bowling, so you're kind of up to speed. 5 members make up a varsity squad, then you can have 5 members of the JV squad. You can substitute other members in. So there's not a whole lot of members that are going to be bowling at a particular time. They are fairly small teams when it comes to that. With that also, as far as with the UKC, they all do have teams that we're joining the conference of. So we obviously want to be able to join that so we can also compete at the conference level as well. It does start January 1st. So most winter sports, all other winter sports start in mid-November. But January 1st is the start date for girls and boys bowling. It goes till mid-February. There's already a conference meet already set for the middle of February. And then the next week will be regionals. And then the week after that, state. That would be like one of the last weekends of February. So I do have one change. We are not going to Mission Bowl. So we will be looking at a different facility change. And obviously with the facility being very important to this. But we do have, I've had some good talks and communication with Blue Hawk Event Center. And I think that'll be a good spot for us to be able to go to, and fairly new. There's a lot of pressure, and really it's why this and like adding swimming and bowling, it makes it a challenge to be able to find a facility that's close enough and not already being used. And a lot of the Olathe schools obviously are using Olathe East bowling and some of those others up in the city. So, but I'm confident that we'd be able to utilize Blue Hawk, and I think that'll come up and will be a good set place for us. Guess with that, are there any other questions? You guys had that other information. I don't want to kind of read through everything on that, but we did have, as far as unified bowling, and I think most of you had the opportunity to be able to go to those events. And it's awesome. And Ashley Mars did a great job leading that program. And it was a great experience for our special needs kids and also our mentors. She's had, and this also goes into why we need to add a regular girls and boys bowling team, because we had a lot of the mentors that were wanting to participate, and she has too many mentors. And so it's just really hard to be able to work them in. And so this would be a good opportunity to be able to add another season of sport in the winter for those.
Yeah, you kind of teed it up for us when we talked about unified, right?
Yeah.
And I made it out to, I think, 3 of those events, including senior night for them. And that was just a tremendous experience, right? So it starts right after the Christmas break.
Yes.
And then it's over by mid-February. So it's a very compressed season.
Very.
So how does that work, Clay? Is it every week?
Yes. And it'd actually be events will probably be twice a week.
Twice a week.
And so you have a max of 10 competitions that you can get in.
And then what do you do for as far as practice?
So they'll be practicing on the off days. Yeah.
Really?
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
What is the equipment requirement? Are the students, the participants required to bring their own? Are we providing it as a district?
Okay, and and Blue Hawk would have, as far as they'd have bowling balls as well also, and so all the other places will, or they'd have the option to be able to bring in their own.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
And then how many coaches? Would you have one for both boys and girls, or would you split
I
that
was-
between two coaches?
No, it'd be a head coach for both boys and girls, and then a JV coach for boys and girls too. So two overall. Yes.
Okay.
Good question. Yep.
Love it.
Any other questions? Anything else? I love it. Could you, changing topics on you really quick?
Yeah. No, it's good.
Ladies flag football.
Yes.
Any timeline, any movement on that?
So, and we did add that to our questionnaire as well. So I have some numbers for
Good.
that.
Smart.
So, and we did have over 50 girls that expressed interest in participating. Really the holdup right now, we have April 23rd is Keisha's vote on that. So that's when we'll know whether or not it's being sanctioned. For sure, what season of sport that they're going to choose. I think it's going to be fall is the talk that they're leaning towards. So that's kind of wait and see. And then it's going to come to facilities again that we're going to have to really look at, especially in the fall.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Fall. I know. So fall's already really busy. But I think they're sticking with that's traditionally where that's been. There was a little bit of talk, but really in order, and not to get too deep on, but in order to do that, they'd probably have to move softball to the fall. And there's a lot of, especially smaller schools that don't want to move softball to the fall in order to move that around. But Missouri plays softball in the fall.
Oh, got it.
I don't know if you're not, but and so does some of the area, other area states around us. But that was at our KI AAA conference that was shot down. And so I think softball is going to stay in the spring. And I think flag football will be coming in the fall if we'll just see what happens on April 23rd.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for the update.
Good question. That was,
Thank
I
you.
was ready for that one too.
Yeah, right.
I'll put you on the spot any further on that, but on your questionnaire, ballpark, what's initial interest?
Or over 50.
Okay.
Girls.
And then is there any qualifying question as like sports that would compete
already?
with,
And
in the fall?
I was going to ask them if they already competed, but I just haven't had time yet, but I'm going to go through and look at the rosters from previous and see who also said they wanted to do it. And so who would that be pulling from? Because it was too hard to do that in the form and I didn't want to confuse them.
Yeah, that's fair.
On that.
Be interested to see.
On glance, there weren't that many.
Okay.
I think, it typically wasn't a lot of and really it's volleyball and cross country and tennis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And so there weren't a lot of, and we can still look at dual sport. We have a few dual sport kids in the spring too, and even in the fall. So we could look at that too.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, thank you for what you're doing to bring so many opportunities to our students, because I know it's a lot.
Yeah, it's good.
a lot.
It's exciting.
Anything else for Mr. Fiona, Mr. Cost? Okay, and so thank you guys so much. You guys are good. Mr. Cost, actually, if you both want to stay here for a second, I skipped over it, but we're going to do a quick picture with our color guard because they're all here and they have their medals. So we're going to come down and take a picture with this team. Like you guys.
No.
That's all them.
Carry me.
Yeah.
Take a couple. About to go to a couple of different rows process to find a winner. Right. Don't move so I can get out of the way for the important business. Congratulations. Way to work. That was nice. Awesome. I'm gonna see.
Okay, moving along to student handbooks and code of conduct for the 26-27 school year. Dr. Smith.
All right, good evening. So tonight, we're going to be looking at a couple of the proposed handbook changes from middle school and high school. Elementary has no handbook changes that they would like to propose for the upcoming school year. And I did just want to make sure that everyone was aware, any changes related to the recent legislation regarding personal electronic devices, we'll actually bring back for more discussion at a following board meeting. Our DLT, our district leadership team, will be meeting later this month to talk through the policy that KSB has recently put out around this legislation. And Mr. Williams has been hard at work finding some particular solutions for us to consider that will work with the legislation as far as making sure that the personal electronic devices, cell phones, AirPods, smartwatches are inaccessible to students. So we will have that discussion at a later date. The rest of the handbook changes that we're proposing tonight are more minor changes that we make year to year just to bring greater clarity to the handbooks. So our high school handbook has a few changes. Again, largely around clarity, adding some additional language to existing statements so that we can make sure people understand, for instance, with graduation, defining that a student who will be receiving a Spring Hill High School diploma would be enrolled as a full-time student with 5 weight-bearing courses. We also clarified some things regarding the scheduling process, just to make sure people understood timelines. So once a student receives their course schedule, how long would they have to request a change if a change was needed, and what staff member or staff members should they be working with if a change is desired. And then in terms of repeating classes, the previous handbook stated that you would need to have a C or better to be ineligible to repeat that class. That's being changed to a C minus. So really trying to just tighten up some of the procedures around the scheduling process and making sure that we are getting those things right from the get-go and have very minimal changes to make when kids are picking classes for each semester. There's some additional language around activities and athletics for students who may identify a competition or an opportunity to participate in something for their activity that isn't identified early on by the sponsor. So some additional criteria listed there just to clarify how a student would go about requesting that they could participate in such an event. There are also some clarifying statements, additional language around what the academic hours are for the school day. So for instance, if you are a student who maybe only attends the high school for 2 classes, but those classes that you're requesting based on our master schedule and teacher availability, if they're only offered first hour and fourth hour, we are making certain that people would understand they would come for first hour, you would need to leave the campus and then come back for fourth hour so that we aren't creating issues with supervision for students who don't have a class during hours 2 and 3. And then in terms of enrollment, this one might be kind of a new one, but for our school district, Spring Hill High School and Insight are considered 2 school buildings in our district. So being simultaneously enrolled at both to create a hybrid program for yourself is not something that we would do as a school district. If you would like to come for a math class at Spring Hill High School in the morning, and then you choose to enroll in another homeschool program, private school program, something outside of the school district, the state law does allow for that. But Insight and KVA are recognized as school buildings within our district. So it would be a very unique circumstance where we would be allowing a student essentially to be enrolled in 2 buildings at one time. This would be a little bit like somebody saying, I'd like to enroll in half of my classes at Forest Spring, and then the rest of the day I'd like to go to Woodland Spring for those classes, which we would not permit a student to do that. So that just clarifies how you can be enrolled in one school building in the school district. The high school also added some language around what the consequences look like for physical aggression. That is its own new subcategory. So what the first offense, second, and third offense would look like, and then some clarification around technology use. So if we were to provide a student with a laptop or an iPad or whatever the approved electronic device would be, that would be a student who was enrolled as a full-time student. So again, if you happen to come to Spring Hill High School and the only course you're enrolled in is weights, we would not be issuing you a student electronic device for that. And then jumping down to the middle school, there is a little bit of overlap here. So I'm just going to highlight a few of the things that are unique to the middle school handbook. There was some language to clarify. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Before we move off high school, and you brought it up, can we slide back just a little bit?
Yes.
You've got detention, ISS, and OSS. Those are all independently unique, correct?
You want those to be independently unique, Mr. Cost?
Yeah.
I saw them as that, but
Well, and
since you're in the room, let's double check.
And Mr. Cost, the question really is, I get ISS, OSS and the severity thing, right? But what I'm most interested in is the detention piece. Is that something we do now with detention? And if we do as a measure of discipline?
Yes, we have detentions.
And
Yep.
when does that typically take place? At
So
the
it
end of the school
depends.
day?
Yeah, it'd be outside of the typical school day. So
But not on weekends?
no.
Okay.
No. We do not have weekend detentions. Some schools have like a Thursday night detentions. We don't do that. Typically our detentions don't extend beyond like 4:00 for students. So it's after school or before school. In most cases, it's after school. The students
Okay.
issued a detention.
Okay.
Yep.
Just curious.
Yep.
Okay. Other high school related questions? You have a captive audience here, so.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, a couple of the middle school items, just again, a little bit of clarity on students who can attend school functions like dances or activities after school, making sure that those are students in good standing if they're attending the school dance. A couple of things too along that same vein of who can attend class field trips. So the middle school particularly does a few field trips that are very like incentivizing for students. So for example, our middle school students attend a field trip to Worlds of Fun. The Worlds of Fun field trip is a really motivating, incentivizing field trip for good behavior, keeping up your grades. So adding a little bit of language for the administration around participation if you've received an expulsion or a suspension or perhaps have a failing grade in a class. So for instance, if I am failing my math class, I may not get to participate in the Worlds of Fun field trip. So just clarifying that for folks. And then, like I said, a couple of these are overlaps. So the enrollment piece for page 9 of the middle school handbook mirrors what we just talked about for the high school handbook. And then the clarification around in-school suspension is more to explain how when a student attends an in-school suspension, how they're still responsible for classwork that is going on in those class periods that they will be missing while they're participating in their in-school suspension. So just to make sure everybody understands that, those expectations if you receive an in-school suspension, and some academic requirements for eligibility for activities and sports. So the past handbook said a statement around CASHA allowing 1 warning per week, and that is great, but we have removed that and added more clarity where you're going to see your schools do eligibility checks on a weekly basis with students who are participating in athletics and activities, and then clarifying what occurs if you, during that weekly grade check, find yourself with a failing grade. So making sure that our student athletes and students who are participating in activities know that academics are first, and we're keeping up with academics before thinking about our extracurriculars.
Is that the same for the high school? Or I know that's not in there as one of the things we're changing, but is that a requirement as part of?
The high school does also provide grade checks for students and has eligibility requirements about student athletes participating in activities. So at both levels, you do have to keep up with your academics and you have a time period to turn things around. Otherwise, you find yourself ineligible to participate.
But the weekly checks is just a middle school thing?
The weekly checks are just a middle school thing, but I will say for the high school though, because they are meeting with advisory teachers are regularly checking grades with them. So a formal weekly grade check is at the middle school, but our high school students do attend advisory and they also have to keep those grades up. And advisory teachers are very good about checking in with students when we think grades might be an issue for eligibility. So we're holding our kids to high academic standards here, and I kind of like it. And then that last piece is the same technology piece we just talked about. So really just a lot of clarification right now in terms of the proposed handbook changes, just making sure that students and families have a better understanding of some areas where questions have come up in the past. And then for elementary schools, we're still good with past handbooks. So on board docs, for those who are interested in some light reading, the full drafts of each level's handbook is available if you'd like to, pour a strong cup of coffee and go through those. And then we'll come back and discuss what some proposed changes will look like for legislation around personal electronic devices. So right now, if you were to read the draft handbooks, you're just going to see the same policies that we've had in place previously for cell phones, but know that that will be changing. Any questions I can answer tonight?
All right, Dr. Smith, I can't help myself, right? This is more commentary than it is anything else.
Yes.
And I'm going to look to you, April, because I know you're a graduate from our school system, and I'm not going to say how long ago, but I think it might have been long enough ago to be germane to my question, and that is, where did we come from 25 years ago from a disciplinary accountability type standpoint? What was it like when you were in school as far as detentions, ISS, OSS, discipline, not being able to go to the school dance, those types of things, right?
Well, Doug, I'm very happy to say I don't know.
All right. No, because I'm sorry.
When you're always eligible to attend, it's hard to speak to them.
I'm sorry, but I'm confident I'm the oldest one up here, right? And so my first thought as we're going through this is, I have to believe in the past, it was probably even more stringent than this. And where did we get soft to the point where now we're having to come back full circle? And by the way, I'm a huge, I don't want to call it a fan, but I'm a proponent of holding our students accountable, particularly as it relates to academics, particularly as it relates to extracurricular activities tied to academic performance, right? So again, commentary, not a question, but it just seems to me that it probably came from, a switch and paddles. I was paddled in high school,
Not proposing that.
to getting very soft, and now we're coming back full circle. Anyway, that's my commentary.
I do think our handbook is very reflective of the capabilities that our students have. We 100% believe that all of our students can achieve at high levels of academics with support from their teachers and their administrators. So I think your handbook reflects everything that our students are capable of doing. I'm not concerned at all that anything that's in the handbook doesn't allow for a student to fully participate in their education and give them complete access to the extracurricular opportunities that they'd like to pursue. It just gives them some guidance around how you keep up as a scholar and an athlete or someone involved in activities, theater, band, music, whatever that passion is. So I think our handbook is definitely headed in the right direction. I don't know about the rest of the commentary where things might have been before, and I'm going to claim that largely because this is my 5th year with the district. So And I don't know that we've revised handbooks so dramatically in the last 5 years that I could speak to that specifically, but I do think we're in a very good spot with handbooks right now.
Great. Thank you so much. Any other questions, concerns? Okay, you're good. Thank you, Dr. Smith. Moving along to safety and security for USD 230.
Yes, we had our safety summit back in October. It was open to the public, and at that meeting, Mr. Williams, Mr. Delphia, Dr. Robinson, and principals all attended along with members of the community, law enforcement, and we basically had a lot of focus groups that gave us ideas on ways that they felt might, that if implemented, we might look into, and as we implement it, would enhance some of our security across the district. Now, as you know, we do not want to tell the public every single thing that we have in place for our existing security, so that the person that might want to do some bad things can take a leg up. So, but what we've done since that time is our operations department, Mr. Delphi and Mr. Williams, have gone out, secured just some high level dollar amounts of what it would take to implement some of those enhancements to some degree. And we've taken those costs. We've talked with Mr. Holder about how we might make some of that pricing work, what that timeline might look at. And so here this evening, we have Mr. Williams and Mr. Delphi are going to give you a brief proposal as to what we think some of the enhancements might involve, what the price tag might be. If you got to make any feedback. And then again, we're not going to ask for action. We'll probably bring this back, in May or June and start, if there's comfortable with, and ask for some approval at that time to maybe get moving on some of them. So Mr. Williams and Mr. Delphi.
So good evening. Thank you to Dr. Luttrell for that. He pretty much said everything that I was going to say. But back in October, Dr. Luttrell and Dr. Robinson did host a safety and security town hall. We had some district office personnel. We had some parents in the district. We had some representatives from the Johnson County Sheriff's Department. We had some representatives from the Spring Hill Police Department in attendance. We had some building administrators, and they came up with some really good ideas. It did give us an opportunity to talk to them about what we already had in place when it came to safety and security. We kind of spoke to those, answered some of the questions they had with those, and then we were able to come up with some ideas that didn't cost any money. For example, one single entrance before school for the Spring Hill High School. I know after visiting with Mr. Koss, he says it's going very well. So they have a single entrance going in there. Previous principal let them go into multiple entrances. So better leadership there you got for this year. So we understand that, but we all know that everything goes with a price tag, but safety and security is very important. It's always important for our district with that. Looking through the items, we were able to come up with a creative list of basically the themes that we heard of. Camera enhancements at our identified district buildings throughout the district, window film enhancements at each student attendance center, an implementation of a pre-K through 12 visitor management system at each campus. I think some of you guys, if you have gone to other school districts, you probably have gone through some of this visitor management systems they have. A notification alert system for exit doors that are propped open. Reconfiguration of Prairie Creek Elementary office line of sight with front entry, the renewal of Centegic's emergency notification system, and then of course, always an additional school resource officer. So I need to give credit to Mr. Delphia and Mr. Terry. They really spent a great deal of time talking to some people, getting some price estimates for some of these things. Be able to then visit with Mr. Holder and Dr. Robinson and Dr. Luttrell. We kind of feel pretty comfortable with some recommendations for you guys. Obviously in fiscal year 27, some of these could actually get started during the summertime, but will carry over into the next school year for that stuff. We're looking at a price range of $4,500 to $4,700. We've identified the camera enhancements at some of the district buildings, the window film enhancements at student attendance centers, the notification alert system for exit doors that are propped open, and then also the reconfiguration of Prairie Creek Elementary and the office line of sight with front entry there. So we feel pretty good. We can come in with that price range for you guys. And then looking into the following fiscal year, we are up with Strategics at the end of next year. So our contract with our Strategics is up for next year. There's several companies out there that would like to talk to us about our emergency response system. So we're going to start meeting. Kylie and Mr. Terry and I are going to start meeting with some other companies, just start listening to them. Next year, bring some ideas to you guys that would also then install with that, the visitor management system with it, so we can get those going on through all the districts. So we're hoping then in the next fiscal year, 28, we're bringing a recommendation for you when it comes to emergency management system. When it comes to an additional resource officer, I know Dr. Luttrell has been very active in speaking to Johnson County Sheriff's Department, also Spring Hill Police. So he has ongoing discussions with them, and I'm sure he fills you guys in with that aspect with that. So these are the identified tasks. We have identified what we will we're working with Mr. Holder, what we'd like to recommend to bring to you guys for approval for going into next school year and then the following year for that. And we'll stand for any questions that you guys might have.
The SRO. Are we looking at fiscal year 27 for the SRO?
And visiting with Chief Sotheby from City of Spring Hill, who are very interested in serving, if we were to add an additional SRO and serving the lower Spring Hill proper areas, elementary, middle school, ELA, they feel that their best way to be up and ready for that would be if we implemented that, if we were to go that direction, would be to do that in the fiscal year 28, which would be the 27-28 school year after next. Okay. That also would coincide well with the fact that after this next 26-27 school year, that's when our contract with current 3-year contract would conclude with Johnson County. And at that time, we could work with all the entities and see what is best. I do think that, when you look at pricing, Spring Hill City PD said they do not and are not interested. They said they really do not want to do the whole district. Okay, but they do feel they can serve and serve well Spring Elementary. So he is supposed to be getting me some just very high level estimate of what that cost would be. And I do think that again, just because they're a smaller department, they don't have, all the resources that, Maida County, but I do think that we might be able to look at some economic savings just for that area if we were going to add an additional one. I do know that Chief Sotheby said that they have been in discussions with Johnson County as to just, hey, we might want to be interested in coming on board and helping with this serve. And that Chief Roberson was definitely, is aware. And then, like I said, I plan at some point soon, I haven't yet, but reaching back out to Johnson County, Chief Roberson and the SRO liaison and kind of tell them what our plan is. But no, it would, an additional one, our budget wise in that, and what, if we were going to really make Spring Hill Police Department really a possibility, it would be fiscal year 28 with the year after next.
Okay. And then the only other comment I have on this, Mark, is I have to believe that there are grant opportunities out there. And I think as a district, this is an area that we really need to start focusing more effort on.
Sure.
Having some experience with some smaller school districts, or not experience, but understanding and knowledge of some smaller school districts. I would almost argue that this could be a position we could add as a full-time grant writer, somebody that can actually go after these types of grants. I know the safety and student protection area is one where it's ripe for opportunity with grants. So it's more of a comment than anything else.
Oh, I was going to ask a similar question on the grants, and I don't have any clue what may be available in the private sector, but I believe from a state standpoint, and I think this should be an additional talking point as we talk to our local legislators and keep an eye on state funding. recently there was a new grant program for some AI gun detection software that's available. And I think that was $10 million and they pay the upfront cost, but they don't pay the renewal cost. You're kind of locking yourself into that. I don't believe a single Johnson County school district has touched it, but unfortunately, when that was passed within the budget, it eliminated a previous $10 million grant program that I think would have covered quite a bit what we're covering right here. So not 100% certain on all the finer details there, but I think that's generally the backstory. And I see a head nodding next to me, so I feel a little more confident in those comments now. My additional comments were, I was getting worried there for a second that I amended you right off the schedule. So glad to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
And then finally, when we think about school safety, I mean, obviously, without saying all the words, we're kind of focusing on one issue with this. I just want to make sure when we're looking at school safety, we're also considering some general safety requirements, and I'll mention some traffic flow, as traffic habits change, and some of our sidewalks that I've mentioned a number of times. I'll continue to harp on that one at Spring Hill Middle School to make sure those kiddos are safe as they're walking home too.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah.
I was just going to add to what you said. We have accessed the Safe Schools grant the last at least 2 years, possibly 3 years. And we did take a look at the information that came out for the gun detection software as well. I know Mr. Williams spent a considerable amount of time talking with those individuals as well. We just didn't think at this time that it was the best option for us.
Yeah, and then to piggyback on that, another challenge that hurts a district like ours is many of the federal grants that are out there, the first criteria they start with is wanting to know what your local free and reduced lunch percentage is. And typically, you're not eligible if you do not have at least 40% or more of your students eligible for free and reduced lunch. Now, that is a very high rate, but that's pretty common across Kansas and a lot of the country. Our overall free and reduced lunch percentage is far less than half of that. And so right off the bat, many of those we get crossed off the path, but we can continue to see what's out there, especially on the area of private grants that are out there. And then as was said, up until this year, we did use the last couple of years of the Safe Schools grant that was available, the 10 million, to pay for a good portion of one of our school resource officers. Wasn't available this past year. Hopefully that is going to come back to some degree. They only approved, I think it was 5 million rather than the 10 million, but we'll continue to look at that.
Okay, anything else? Thank you so much, Mr. Williams. And the last discussion item we have is the Board of Education meeting calendar for 26-27. This is just a discussion, no action on this tonight, right?
Correct. Every year, as we get near the end of our current fiscal year, which ends in June, as we gear up for July, one task the board has to do is announce and do a resolution, which they do at the reorganization meeting, putting into place what their meeting schedule will be for that particular fiscal year, that particular school year. And it's the board's discretion. It's not set in statute how frequently you have to meet, other than the fact that a Board of Education does have to meet at one time per month. And so in the past, I think long ago, the district did meet once a month. And whenever the district really started going through the growth pattern, many years ago, I think when they started gearing up for the bonds back in, probably about the time they started with the new high school, and then plus back in starting in 12, 14, 16, and 18, went to 2 meetings a month. And we've been on that pathway since. So every year when we've submitted the draft calendar proposed, we've kind of submitted a couple different versions. One version that basically mimics what you had the most recent year. What you have in front of you this time is what mimicked the most recent year. Before we added several meetings this most recent year, I included what mimicked the schedule prior to that it had about, I think, 17 or 18 sessions. And then there was also one that, many boards of education, even in Johnson County, meet once a month and conduct their business. You have to be very efficient though, which I think our board is very efficient. They put in a lot of hours behind the scenes preparing. There's also a version there that would basically have a total of 14 meetings, with most meetings each month, with most meetings having one a month. There's a couple meetings in July and August, September that have two, but it also reserves a lot of months, whereas if it's needed, a work session / meeting could be added. But it's just to look over, have some discussion. We can amend it and make changes, but ideally we would want to hopefully approve a schedule before we head into the July reorganization meeting.
Great, thank you. So with that, we'll open up the discussion.
Yeah, I think number one is that this body wants to continue to make decisions, right? Number one priority is that we're here helping steward this district. I think number two is we want to do it efficiently, and twice a month, sometimes 3 times a month, if we have a work session, it feels like we stretch agenda items, we stretch conversation. I understand that there is a little bit of give and take and balance there when you've got to discuss and then maybe come back in the second meeting of the month to make a decision. But there are opportunities for us to be far more efficient here. And I think that's efficiency amongst us members. I think it's efficiency amongst administration and executive leadership. So I'm in favor of the draft number 3. And I would even take it a step further and say we ought to explore a committee structure. We ought to look at what are the opportunities to pull some of this discussion that we have most of the time, but sometimes we're glazing over things. Pull it down to a smaller group of people, and you're focused on finances and facilities. You're focused on teaching and learning at a curriculum level. You're focused on whatever we feel like we need to focus on, and pull that into committees. And those committees can meet however often we want, however often we feel necessary. And that's what a lot of our peer districts are doing currently anyway, right? So not to throw this off the rails right out of the gate, but that's kind of where my head's at right now.
Yeah, we've talked about committees quite a bit, but we've never gotten them off the ground.
Yeah, I don't think those would work. I think someone had done some research on it. And I don't think we can legally do committees. I think that was John. We'd have to talk to him about it, but I think because he was interested in doing that, but then after doing some research, we figured that wasn't anything that would work, unfortunately.
I don't remember any of that. I don't remember that I remember that being a conversation.
Yeah, I do. I'd have to go back or talk to him, I think, and Nicole maybe had discussed it, and I don't think that was, I don't remember why, but I remember them saying that it just wouldn't work for conducting business.
Yeah.
Because you're discussing things without the board, and then some things don't come to the board maybe, or I don't know. It felt like it was not transparent, to our district. So we felt like, I think maybe that was it now that I'm recalling, is we just felt like we needed to be able to have those conversations more in the public, in front of the public, rather than in committees.
Yeah. And I think if you look at best practice for committees, you've got to notice those meetings anyway. If you're discussing board topics, right? You're going to have probably more than one board member on at least some of those committees. So, I think there is a lot of logistics to work through there, and that's not easy, but it still, at the expense of ease, feels more efficient, feels more formal, actually ends up feeling more transparent. And then committees bring an analysis or recommendation or a view to the full body of the board, and then small discussion on those topics and make a decision and move forward.
Yeah, I'll add to that. I think a committee structure also brings in more parents and some of the other patrons of the district and provides the opportunity for their feedback in an open meeting and open discussion too. So I'd be really interested in exploring that idea. I don't necessarily have an opinion either way, but I do think it's worth exploring. I think DeSoto is the only, and us are the only Johnson County school districts that do not have a committee structure.
The committee structure, I'm not sure, but I do know that several do. I do know that on the meetings per month, that Spring Hill and Shawnee Mission are the ones that currently are on the two meetings a month schedule. And I do believe that Shawnee Mission still maintains committees as well. But yes.
Yeah, I don't think they have near as many committees like Blue Valley, but they are still on the committee structure, right? So yeah, with those, I appreciate the comments you made there, Steve. I'm prepared to support version 3 here and continue the discussion on committees and not necessarily jumping right into that. Obviously, as Anna was saying, it sounds like Mr. Chitwood has some opinions on that, and we should certainly respect his opinion there too. But I'd be prepared to support version 3 if this came before us next month. Maybe with one change, I'm seeing our current board calendar does have quite a busy June with 2 regular meetings and a work session there at the end. I'd kind of be for an additional Monday evening off in the summer, recognizing that August and September, we've got a lot of work to do on the budget, but I wouldn't be opposed to eliminating a July meeting on that.
So, okay, so I guess the problem I have with going to the draft 3 is we're gonna have long meetings. And I don't really want to go back to that. To be honest, I prefer having more meetings, but then they don't go as late into the night because we've had that before where we're here till 10 or 11 o'clock at night and everyone gets very tired and these meetings can get really long. And it's hard to focus and be on for that long of a period of time. So I would not be a fan of draft 3. I guess 1 or 2, having the more meetings would be preferential to me. So that we're, not here for 5 hours.
Like I'm definitely with you on that. I think if we are to adopt this version here with far less meetings, that it will take a cognizant effort on really everybody within this room to make sure we're staying focused and getting the work done. As our one meeting here this month, we seem to be making pretty good time so far. So I'm open to it and recognize, at any time we can add meetings since we're hitting the statutory minimum with this right here. If we get in, November and we've had, 4 meetings in a row that are here to 10 and 11, then I'll be right there with you wanting to switch back. So
yeah, I don't think anybody wants to spend 4+ hours here. And honestly, that comes down to that's a management issue. If you're having board meetings that are that long, you're not putting together an effective agenda, or you're not planning how that agenda is going to flow correctly, right? And that falls on us. That would fall on administration. But like Ted said, you've got some leeway to, call a special meeting if something arises and we need to address it quickly. We can do that. We can be flexible. But in the name of efficiency, number 3 feels the most solid to me.
I think, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm not adverse to number 3, but I think it's too big of a leap to take from one year to the next. I think we should take into account that that's a direction that we're moving. And that the following year, so this next year, we kind of have an understanding that this is an area we would like to move to so that we can focus on the elements that really need to be put in place in order for us to be effective with a shorter meeting schedule. And what I mean by that is not necessarily committees, right? I'll come back to committees in a minute, but I think it has to do more with communication, management, prioritization, goals, targets, deadlines, dates, things along those lines, management of that in order to do it. Because I agree with Anna. My fear is if we jump to this next year, we will be looking at 10:30, 11 o'clock times to get out of here. And I think what I'd like to see is for next year, we focus more on management of Dr. Luttrell, his management with the ELTs down, the cascade down on management, and then the communication back up so that we can actually, because honestly, we've hit a pretty good stride so far this year in our meetings. And I'd like to see if we can't see that continue for another year while we get the communication and management piece taken care of. I will say this on the committee thing. And we have talked about it over the last couple of years, right? And I do hear what you're saying, Ted. I think it's a great idea that, we should be getting more of our parent involvement, more of our patron involvement. And one of the areas where that should start, in my opinion, is in our participation on site councils. Granted, those are only a couple meetings a semester. Maybe we need to do more of an outreach as individuals with our site councils and be taking some active role in that agenda with those site council meetings so that it truly is a two-way street and we're not just a participant or a spectator at these site council meetings. And we actually play an active role in soliciting specific feedback so that we can bring that back from them. Again, being efficient on their time, being transparent. Those meeting notes become part of the public record. And so I know in the agenda meeting, I said I needed some time to think about it. I still am not to the point where I fully have thought it all the way through, but those are my thoughts up to this point.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Doug. I definitely hear that is a big leap going from the format that we have now. And like you said, it feels like we're in a groove, right? And why change that drastically? And maybe we don't need to. Maybe it looks different. I do think that we can look for ways for us as a group to be more efficient. And Ted made a great point. Get more community involvement. We had great attendance sitting here. And then as soon as we recognized everybody, they're gone, right? And thank you to those of you on YouTube watching us. That's awesome. Appreciate that. Let's hope there's more than 5. But maybe a monthly schedule or something somewhat predictable there helps get the community a little more involved. Maybe it's in a committee. Maybe that's years down the road for us. Maybe we mature into that. But it just seems like there are a lot of positives to just exploring other meeting schedules.
I think for me, I hear the concern for the issue with the longer meetings, but I feel like this is about getting things done right the first time, and work sessions are about diving deeper. And then when you come to a regular meeting, it's just more focused and efficient. So it also creates more opportunity for community involvement and helps us better bridge communication with the people we serve. It's not more time, but it's better use of time. And so I'm all for efficiency. This helps us get things done without dragging decisions out or revisiting them later. It also opens the door for more community involvement and helps bridge that gap, I think.
I think the biggest thing that, or the biggest concern I would have with draft number 3 is we would have to get a lot more comfortable at times hearing a discussion and taking action that night. And that's something that we've really worked hard to not do. And I think we would need to get a little bit more comfortable if we're only going to meet once a month. We would have to hear the discussion and then take action on some items. Some items can wait. And so that to me just is probably the biggest factor in trying to think through this. I think we have hit a good stride, and I think the fact that we're even having this conversation is a huge testament to what Dr. Luttrell, the leadership team of the district, those folks, Mark specifically, who talks to us a lot. You guys are doing a great job of getting information to us and in front of us, and you're making it a lot easier to have these conversations. So I do appreciate all the efforts that Dr. Luttrell, Dr. Robinson, Mr. Holder, and the team have really put into place to help get us there. With that, any other thoughts or questions or concerns on this one before we move on? Okay, so we'll take action on that one next week. Or next meeting, May 11th, right?
So how's that gonna work though? Because, are we going to each vote, like, I vote draft 1 or I vote, how is that going to go? Are we gonna narrow it down to 2 or, because I just feel like if we have 3 drafts that we're voting on, I don't know how that's gonna work. So do you have any guidance on how you want to do that?
What I thought would happen is we would make a motion for one of them, and then the vote either passes or fails, right? And then we would make a motion for another. Am I right on that, Dr. Luttrell?
That would be a way you could do it. I mean, there's a lot of ways you could do it. You could like I said, ideally, we want to, like I said, have something done no later than June. And we do have, I think, 2 meetings in June in addition to the one in May. So you could next month come back and you could either, as you just said, somebody say, hey, I think that we should go with version 2. Make a motion, see if you get a second, put it to a vote. If it doesn't, you might then say, well, maybe we need to go back and let's just, which of these 2 do we want? And then maybe come back the next month and, so I mean, there's no rhyme or reason. At the end of the day, ideally you would want to just make sure that, again, that there is definitely, a good consensus of comfort with whatever the final result is, whether it's unanimous or not.
My preference would be that whether that's May or June, a single version comes before us with staff recommendation. And then we as the board are free to substitute or amend anything we want on that.
I was just going to say the same thing, Ted, just a little differently. Number one, I want to reinforce what you just said. This does not require action on the next meeting or the next meeting. We have until June, right? But I agree with you, Ted. I think, and it's just the 7 of us, right? 8 with Dr. Luttrell, but Dr. Luttrell's got all the people below him. I think we can find some kind of consensus here. So that it doesn't become a contentious vote, because it really does need to make sense for all 7 of us. And so I would, I would like to see it kind of fine tuned. We've got time for that consensus building, for the back and forth and the feedback to transpire. So there's no rush.
Yes, we can do that. And what maybe it would be beneficial if also maybe in one of the Friday updates, maybe not this week, but next week's Friday update, maybe if I could maybe put together for you to review where I can go back and talk to our leadership team, executive cabinet directors, and kind of let you, because there's pros and cons to them as well for all 3 of those. Okay. And I can maybe put, okay, with this version, these are the pros for the directors, administrative team. These are the cons. And let's let you, because again, it does impact the other team as well. So as Doug said, we just want to come to whatever decision's best that's going to respect everyone's time, but yet give us the time to make the decisions that we need to make and not make it contentious at all. Because I agree, you all have been in a great frame of mind and groove the last several months, and we definitely want to keep that up.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Up next, finance report.
Okay.
Should we just take a quick 3-minute break? Yeah. Let's go 5. We'll go 5 minutes and give everybody a quick break. Sorry, Mr. Loriano. Okay, we're supposed to be back. If everybody wants to come on back. Okay, so let's get this thing back on. Mr. Holder, if you would go through the finance report.
All right, good evening, everyone. For the March finance report, just to highlight, this is the end of March. It represents 75% of our way through our fiscal year. So we are getting close to the end. Tonight, I'm not going to go through every column and every row, but I've got 5 or 6 things that I do want to highlight for discussion. And of course, I'll always take questions at the end. So starting with the revenue, really, as we look at the first 3 there, we're on track. We'll continue to add to those in April and May. And then remember, we will get another big chunk in June. That will be our final tranche of revenue in all of those areas. Capital outlay, we're still trending very well in both revenue and expenses. I wanted to highlight the bond. You'll notice that I've talked about that $66 million mark. We did pass that for the month of March year to date, and we received these funds in July. So it's a really good, I mean, it's going to take in our entire fiscal year. But we've had over $1.5 million in interest, which is really good that we've added to the bond fund. So as we approach June and the end of our fiscal year, I think we'll get close to 2. I don't know that we'll quite get there. We're going to get very close to $2 million in interest. So it's, we want to spend those funds down because that means we're making progress. But we've been able to really add a good chunk of revenue to those funds for future use, which is a good thing. Our funds to the right are recurring funds. We'll talk about revenue and expenses, and I'll really focus on those as we get to the bottom of the page. But as we look at expenses, again, operating, our general and LOB is trending very well. Special education, I am confident. I've been previewing this for a few months, but we will need to republish our special education fund in June. We will wait till June because that'll give us the most accurate picture of what we need to do. And what really has pushed us over the top there is the state has asked that part of the categorical aid that we claim for the virtual school, typically that transfer has all been made from general. And that transfer is close to $10 million throughout the year. The portion that is categorical aid, which would be less than 10%, but it's still not an insignificant number. It's going to be around probably $600,000-$700,000. They want that transfer to come from Fund 30, which is our special education fund. And so without a doubt, that will push us over what was budgeted. It's just important to note, this does not impact tax rate. It doesn't impact the overall budget. We are reflecting that in our operating balances at the bottom. But the way that will work from the mechanics of getting that done is in June. We'll bring it up as a discussion item at our first June board meeting, and then we will have it on the second item in June. I'm sorry, the second meeting in June, we'll have that item for approval. Last year we did one for CTE program, Fund 34, and that was just simply because when the budget was published, we didn't have an expenditure amount in there. And that was just something that we corrected it in June of last year. So it will be coming, but we'll walk through that process as we get to June. And overall, big picture, we're still in good shape. Moving down to, as we look, I just want to highlight capital outlay expenses again. We're really tracking well. We will have some more things that will come between now and June 30th, but as we look for that last revenue boost in June, expenses between now and June 30th, we're going to be able to add not an insignificant amount to our capital project fund, which is good. As we looked at those restricted funds at the bottom, nutrition services, we did dip a little bit in March. You got to keep in mind some of the revenue that comes in there. We had spring break in March. We were also off, the Friday before. So that in terms of student days can impact your revenue, especially when we're in a student paid district that influences as much of our revenue as we have here in Spring Hill. And then sometimes it's just a matter of timing with expenses. I will say that as we look from now till the end of the year, of course, we'll still be ordering, but a lot of our bulk ordering and nutrition services will go down. So we should be able to make progress. I feel good about, ending the year in a positive. I mean, overall, the fund balances will go down, but we'll still be above zero. But we will likely be in a situation where we may want to think about transferring a little bit of money just to bolster that fund as of June 30th. Special reserve still looks really good. I anticipate April being a good month based on what we know from the month of March. So I think that spread that we see there is even going to increase and will look better as we look at this report next month. Finally, just as we look at our operating fund, just a reminder, this includes includes our LOB and our SPED funds. Those three funds comprise the large majority of our operating budget. And so as we look at those, we are about $682,000 from a dollar and cents perspective ahead of where we were last year. And as we compare that to last month, it's $111,000 more than we were the month before. So we're trending in the right direction. We'd like to see that. If we can see that for the next 3 months, it's going to be a very positive end to the fiscal year. So we're really getting down to the time where it comes into focus. Remember, June is a heavy revenue month. It's also a very heavy expense month because we reflect those summer payrolls for our certified teaching staff that they receive in July and August. That's when it leaves our bank account, but we reflect that in our budget in June. So any questions? All right. In May, I do plan to come back since we just have the one meeting in May. We'll work to turn this around and we'll be ready for our May meeting and have that April information. So we don't have to wait till June. All right.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, moving along, action item 10.01 sound system upgrades for the Performing Arts Center at the high school.
Yes, I think this is all of you are aware we've been talking about this for quite a while. It's something that has been needed. And we reported out couple months ago, some possibilities, anticipated costs since that time. Again, operations, Mr. Delphia, Mr. Cost, Adriana at the high school have all visited some schools. They visited one of the premier systems in the area with one of the Blue Valley schools, had a state of the art, and talked to their folks, and basically have come back now with the recommendation costs there that would basically provide a new sound system as well as all the wireless mics and components that would go with that, all kind of modeled after the system that they, recently saw. And I believe Mark can tell me, correct, I think it might say in there that this is also, I think, came in either just slightly above or a little bit less than what the cost, had been a few months ago. What they kind of anticipated something like an expense like this might be, but I can assure you that, like I said, the high school folks that would use this system have all been part of the discussion and would be very pleased if this system is approved as presented. Mr. Delphi, you want to say anything? Were you impressed by the system?
Dr. Luttrell, sorry to interrupt. We understand there's a storm coming right here. So I'm going to go ahead and motion to approve the sound system upgrades to the Performing Arts Center at Spring Hill High School as presented.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any conversation, question? Ms. Henderson, please collect the vote.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Beecham,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Horn,
Yes.
Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Coleman Martinet,
Yes.
approved.
Thank you so much. Up next, Prairie Creek Elementary School front office reconfiguration.
I'll go ahead and make the motion. For the approval of, and I'm sorry, I lost the number here. 10.02, right? 10.02, for the front office improvement to Prairie Creek Elementary School.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other conversation, questions? Okay, Mrs. Henderson, please collect the vote.
Mr. Beecham,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Horn,
Yes.
Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Coleman Martinet,
Yes.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
approved.
Very good. Moving to future discussion items. Anything that we need added, removed?
Yeah, I'm sorry, April. The cell phone thing obviously can be taken off. It's going to be addressed, right? And if I'm not mistaken, that takes effect September 1. So yeah, so we can take that one off.
Great. Anything else on board or future discussion items? Board work calendar. I know we're definitely behind on at least one item, but we'll catch that one back up. But everything else is scheduled, planned, good to go. Okay. I'm gonna expedite this conversation because this weather's got me a little freaking out. So anything we need to hit on with board work calendar? Everybody good?
Good for now.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Moving on to board education member reports.
Nothing here.
Anything you guys want to report on?
Nope.
No.
It's good. Superintendent report.
Again, you could read there. I just provided a legislative update. There's some of the dust still. Some you could read some of the highlights from the retail session there.
Okay. Thank you. I know we have an executive session. I'm not going to be able to focus with this happening. So I think let's move this executive session to next meeting. If I can get some promises from the board that you guys will just go through the documents in the executive content. So that way we can come ready to make a decision at the next meeting. It's all just about making sure we have the right form for any review for Dr. Luttrell. Okay.
Now, real quick on the formality of that, do we need to amend the agenda or do we need to go into a 30-second executive session?
You can amend the agenda
To
or you can
cancel.
go, you can do either one.
Let's just bend the agenda to move it, to remove it.
Just go in there for 1 minute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Madam President, I motion that we go into executive session for the purpose of discussing personal matters, non-elected personnel, the privacy interests of an identifiable individual in Tacoma. Those to be in session include the Board of Education members, superintendent of schools, assistant superintendent of schools, and administration as requested to start at 7:47 and end at 7:48.
Second.
Motion and second. Any other conversation? Mrs. Henderson, please click the vote.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Horn,
Yes.
Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Coleman Martinet,
Yes.
Mr. Hall,
Aye.
Mr. Beecham,
Yes.
approved.
Do we actually have to go?
Real quick on that with it.
Yeah, we do. Okay, meeting is back. Are we back, Mr. Terry? Okay, meeting is back and we're adjourned. Everybody drive safe.